So I want you to picture a scenario that I guarantee you have experienced at some point.
Oh, I already know where this is going.
Right. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
You are lying in bed.
Yeah.
You're staring at the ceiling, perfectly exhausted.
So you're trying to sleep and just can't.
Exactly. And suddenly, for absolutely no reason at all, your brain decides to replay a deeply embarrassing moment from like 5 years ago.
Oh, man, the worst.
Right. Maybe it was a time you waved super enthusiastically at someone across a crowded room.
And then you realize they were waving at the person directly behind you.
Yes, you feel that actual physical cringe,
Yeah.
that rush of heat to your face right there in the dark.
It's so visceral.
It is. And the question is, why do we do this to ourselves? Why do our minds hold on to these negative loops? And more importantly, how do we actually break them?
It is such a universal human experience. And I mean, it really highlights a fundamental misunderstanding we have about how our own minds work.
How so?
Well, when we want to break a bad habit or stop those intrusive negative behaviors, we almost instinctively look for a vastly complex solution.
Oh, no, absolutely. We think we need this profound psychological breakthrough.
Right. Or a highly specialized morning routine.
Or a complete overhaul of our entire personality. We want the magic pill or the 10-day silent retreat to fix it.
Because if the problem feels heavy, the solution has to be complicated, right?
That's the assumption. But here is a really surprising realization, and it's the core of what we're talking about today. We severely overcomplicate our own self-improvement.
We really do.
In fact, a lot of people are genuinely disappointed when they hear the ultimate solution to changing those stubborn behaviors.
Because it's too simple.
Because the answer is simply your basic, everyday power of rational thinking. To a lot of people, the idea that plain old reason is the master key, it sounds almost naive.
It does sound incredibly unscientific at first glance.
Yeah.
We've been conditioned by modern culture to think that human behavior requires these mysterious, deeply intricate interventions. We think reason is just too dry.
Or too weak to combat deep-seated habits.
Exactly. But what is truly fascinating here is that while rational thinking might seem almost boringly simple, it has one massive, undeniable advantage over everything else.
Which is?
It actually works.
It actually works.
Yeah. When you cut through all the noise, your conscious, rational thought is the ultimate lever for behavioral change.
And that concept right there is the foundation of what we're getting into today. So welcome to the Deep Dive. We're absolutely thrilled to have you with us because this is episode 5 in a series on the book Psycho Cybernetics.
It's been such a great series so far.
It really has. Today, we are unpacking the most transformative concept of this entire discussion.
Yeah.
We are completely demystifying the unconscious mind.
Because for years, popular culture has painted the unconscious as this shadowy, almost malicious force working against you.
Like, there's a little demon in your brain pulling levers just to make you miserable at 2 in the morning.
That is exactly the myth we need to dismantle today. The reality completely shifts the paradigm.
Okay, so what is the reality?
Your unconscious mind is not a malicious entity. It's not even a separate mind in the way we usually think of it. It's simply an absolutely impersonal machine.
An impersonal machine.
Yes. It has absolutely no will of its own, no secret agenda, and zero vendetta against you.
It's just a machine.
Yeah.
That is such a wild way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because we always personalize our thoughts. But if it's just a machine, what is driving it?
You are.
I am.
You are. Because it operates as a machine without its own will, it only reacts to the data you are feeding it right now.
So my current inputs.
Exactly. It is constantly processing your current beliefs, your current interpretations, and your opinions concerning your environment.
Okay.
Its entirely functional purpose is to seek out and give you the appropriate feelings to accomplish the goals you consciously determine.
Wow. So the ultimate aha moment for you listening right now should be the realization that your conscious thinking is the literal control knob for this unconscious machine.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. You have the control knob.
Okay, so if my conscious mind is the control knob, and this unconscious machine is just blindly processing whatever coordinates I punch into it today, what does that mean for our relationship with our past?
That's a huge question.
Because therapy culture often tells us we need to spend years digging into our childhoods to find the root cause of every little flaw.
Right. And this material suggests we need a much more pragmatic approach. There is actually no future in endlessly digging into the past.
None.
None. Regardless of your past omissions or commissions, whatever mistakes you made, whatever opportunities you missed to acquire maturity and change your life, you must start in the present.
Start right now.
Yes, your present and your future depend entirely on learning new habits and, most importantly, forming new ways of looking at old problems today.
That makes total sense in theory, but man, it is really hard in practice. What about my past failures?
They hurt.
They do.
Yeah.
It's hard not to focus on them when you're trying to learn something new or change your behavior. The memory is just there.
That is where we need to look at the actual mechanics of how human beings learn skills. All skill learning is essentially pure trial and error.
Trial and error.
To understand this, we need to talk about a brilliant concept introduced here, the servo mechanism.
Right. Let's break that term down because it sounds like something straight out of a robotics lab. What exactly is a servo mechanism?
Think of a servo mechanism like the thermostat in your house. Or better yet, the guidance system on a torpedo.
Okay, a torpedo.
It's a machine built to reach a specific target by constantly measuring its own errors and autocorrecting.
So it's constantly checking if it's off course.
Exactly. If a torpedo is aimed at a target and it veers slightly off course to the left, its internal sensors detect that error.
It registers the mistake.
Right, it registers that it's off course, and it sends a signal to the rudder to steer back to the right. Human beings operate with a built-in mental servo mechanism.
That makes a lot of sense.
Now, by definition, all servo mechanisms must contain memories of past errors. They have to in order to know what not to do.
So that naturally includes all my past failures, my painful moments, and those negative experiences.
Exactly. But here is the critical shift in perspective. Those negative experiences do not inhibit the learning process. They actively contribute to it. They are entirely necessary.
I want to use a driving analogy here because I think it perfectly grounds this idea for anyone listening. Think about those rumble strips on the side of the highway.
Oh, perfect.
Those past errors aren't meant to be punishments. They are strictly negative feedback data. They act as perceived deviations from your positive goal.
Right.
You're driving, you drift a little out of your lane, and you hit the rumble strip. The loud noise, the shaking, that is negative feedback.
It's startling.
Very startling. But what do? You don't pull the car over to the side of the road, put your head on the steering wheel, and cry about hitting the rumble strip.
No, you definitely don't.
You don't question your worth as a human being because you drifted left. You just correct the wheel and get back in the center of the lane.
That is a perfect illustration. A torpedo doesn't feel guilty for veering left. It just adjusts.
Just a slight course correction.
Once you make that course correction based on the negative feedback, you have to consciously forget the error and dwell solely on the successful attempt.
So you don't keep staring at the rumble strip.
Constantly criticizing yourself for past mistakes doesn't fix anything. In fact, if you stare at the rumble strip, you are going to steer right into it. Fixating on the error tends to perpetuate the exact behavior you want to change.
Target fixation. You go where you look. So how do we let go of that fixation? Because human beings, unlike torpedoes, attach an awful lot of moral weight to our mistakes.
We really do. And there is a fascinating, almost blunt instruction regarding past mistakes to counter that. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Our errors, our mistakes, our failures, and even our deeply embarrassing humiliations.
Like the waving at the wrong person at a party.
Exactly. They were simply necessary steps in the learning process. They were a means to an end, completely necessary at the time to guide us. But they are not an end in themselves.
They were just data.
Let them serve their mechanical purpose and then entirely disregard them. The very minute we change our minds and drop the moral weight, we immediately start giving power to the past.
It is incredibly freeing to look at it that way. You just learn to be indifferent to your own deficiencies. You treat them as mechanical data.
Indifference is a superpower here.
But let me push back a little here because I know what the listener is probably thinking.
Yeah.
When I am feeling immense remorse for an action, something my rational brain knows is completely absurd to still be dwelling on, I can't always just casually dismiss it.
It's stubborn.
Right. Rationality is usually the first thing to go out the window when emotion takes over. How do we actually intervene in that exact moment?
You are entirely right. You cannot just wave it away with a casual thought. Deeply ingrained reaction patterns require active, forceful work to change.
So it takes effort.
When your rational thoughts and feelings of remorse are thrust upon you by your subconscious, you cannot let them linger. You have to convince yourself in vivid detail of their absurdity.
You have to argue with yourself.
Yes. Your conscious beliefs have to be made so emphatic that they make a deep impression on your unconscious machine. They have to be strong enough to overwrite the old impressions.
So you can't just be content alternating between moments of rationality and moments of irrationality. You can't just say, well, I'm going to beat myself up for an hour and then I'll be rational later.
Exactly. That alternation is where people get stuck for years.
Purgatory.
When those irrational feelings hit, you must dig them up by their roots, examine them closely, look at the logical absurdity of them, and then reject them with absolute determination. Never let contrary irrational beliefs pass unchallenged, however brief that moment might be.
Never pass unchallenged. To actually execute that rejection, there are two really powerful levers for changing your beliefs that I want to bring into the conversation right now.
Let's hear them.
If you find yourself slipping into a negative loop, you need emotional leverage to pull yourself out. The first lever is the feeling or belief that you are entirely capable of holding up your end of the log.
Holding up your end of the log, I like that.
It's the assertion of your own independence and agency.
Yes. That first lever is all about self-reliance. It is the deep-seated realization that you are not a helpless victim of your own neural pathways. You have the capacity to act. And what is the second lever?
The second lever is the firm belief that the something inside you should not be allowed to suffer indignities.
Oh, that's powerful.
It is basically having a baseline level of self-respect. It is refusing to let false negative beliefs degrade you. Think about it. If a friend spoke to you the way your inner critic does, you would kick them out of your house immediately.
Without a doubt.
You have to apply that exact same standard to your own internal monologue.
Those two levers provide a fantastic emotional foundation. But to truly operationalize this, there are 4 pivotal, hard-hitting questions you should ask yourself to dismantle a stubborn belief.
Let's walk through them, because these are great.
These are designed to forcibly engage that rational, conscious mind when you are spinning out. So, question 1. Is there any rational reason for such a belief?
And usually if you actually stop and force yourself to answer that out loud, the answer is a resounding no. It's just habit.
Right. It's a phantom. Then you move to question 2. Could it be that I am mistaken in this belief?
That is a great one because it forces just a little wedge of doubt into your absolute certainty.
Exactly. When we are stuck in a bad habit, we are so certain that we are just broken. Asking if you might be mistaken opens the door to change.
It creates a tiny bit of daylight.
It does. Then question 3. Would I come to the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation?
I love that one so much. We are always so much harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else.
Always.
If my best friend failed a presentation at work, I wouldn't tell them they were an irredeemable failure who should quit their career. I tell them they just had an off day. We have to extend that same rational grace to ourselves.
Which leads perfectly to the final and perhaps most powerful question. Question 4. Why should I continue to act and feel as if this were true if there is absolutely no good reason to believe it?
Right. Why keep paying the tax? But there is a really quirky, crucial instruction regarding these 4 questions. You can't just passively read them off a piece of paper like a grocery list.
No, that won't work.
You have to wrestle with them. You have to think hard on them and actually get emotional. A lot of people assume that rational thinking means being robotic, like Spock from Star Trek.
Cold and detached.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anger and indignation can actually act as incredibly powerful liberators from false ideas. You kind of have to get a little mad at the fact that you're simply being used by a bad habit.
That is a vital distinction. Rational thought must be accompanied by deep feeling and desire if it is to be effective. Emotion is the fuel that drives the new data into the machine.
Fuel for the servo mechanism.
Which brings us to a specific, highly practical daily action you can take to put all of this together. Reverse engineering the habit of worry.
Oh, worry. The thing we are all professionals at.
Olympic gold medalists.
But what is worry, mechanically speaking?
Mechanically speaking, worry is simply the act of constantly picturing to yourself and dwelling on an undesirable end result.
Rehearsing failure.
Yes. You picture a future conversation going terribly. You picture failing an exam. By vividly dwelling on it, you make the possibility seem incredibly real to your unconscious machine. And what does the machine do?
It reacts to the data.
It generates the appropriate emotions of anxiety and fear to match the picture. But here is the secret. This exact same mechanism can and must be used in a positive way. It is the exact same mental machinery.
So we just need to run the engine in reverse. Let's walk through the steps for this new action, because this is the micro habit listeners can start today. First, you picture what you would like to be and have. You get a clear, vivid image of the positive outcome.
Second, you assume those things are entirely possible. You have to make that leap of faith and feed the machine the assumption of possibility.
Okay, third, you arouse an intense desire for these things. You really lean into wanting it.
Fourth, you become truly enthusiastic about them. You let yourself feel the excitement of that positive outcome.
And fifth, you just continually dwell on them. You keep going over that positive scenario in your mind, the exact same way you would obsess over a negative one.
By doing this, you are feeding the machine new coordinates.
And because the machine doesn't have a will of its own, it has no choice but to automatically generate the appropriate emotions of enthusiasm, cheerfulness, and encouragement.
It is literally just hacking the worry mechanism.
It's brilliantly simple, but obviously it requires discipline. To anchor this entire process, there is a powerful standout quote from the material that really encapsulates the core lesson. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Such a classic.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That hits incredibly hard, because it proves that your automatic mechanism is either a success mechanism or a failure mechanism, entirely depending on the goals you feed it.
It doesn't reason about or question the data. It merely processes it and reacts.
Therefore, if you consciously think of what you have to do as easy, the machine will make it feel easy.
And that brings up a critical point about the specific division of labor between your two minds. We need to be clear about who is doing what here.
Right, staying in our lanes.
It is the job of the conscious, rational mind to form logical conclusions. It is the job of your conscious thought to decide what you want, select the goal, and concentrate on those desires rather than on what you do not want.
Focus on the destination.
To spend time and effort concentrating on what you do not want is simply an irrational use of the machine.
I want to use a baseball analogy to illustrate this division of labor. Think about a batter at the plate. The conscious mind's job is simply to pay strict attention to the task at hand, to keep your eye on the ball.
Keep your eye on the ball.
You're paying attention to the pitcher, the spin of the ball, and what is going on right in front of you. By doing that, you allow sensory messages to keep your automatic, unconscious mechanism advised of the environment.
Exactly. The conscious mind tracks the ball, but it's the unconscious mechanism that actually calculates the trajectory, coordinates the timing, and fires the complex network of muscles required to swing the bat.
If the batter tries to consciously think about contracting his bicep and rotating his hips while a 90-mile-an-hour pitch is in the air, he is going to strike out every single time.
Which serves as a perfect final warning we need to issue about trying to force results. It is not the job of your conscious rational mind to do the work or perform the job at hand.
It's just the control knob.
Trying too hard with your conscious mind actually clogs up the machinery. You cannot squeeze creative thought out of the created mechanism through sheer willpower.
You just get in your own way.
You must learn to focus on what you are doing, act on the best assumptions available to you, and then leave the results alone. You have to completely trust the process of the machine you are operating.
That is so counterintuitive for high achievers who want to micromanage every single detail of their lives. But it makes perfect sense. Don't clog the machinery by overthinking the execution. Just keep your eye on the ball and let your perfectly capable impersonal mechanism do what it was built to do.
Trust the machine.
So, as we bring this home, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on long after this audio stops. Consider how drastically your daily life would transform if you truly treated every single failure, every embarrassing misstep, not as a permanent scar on your identity, but simply as mechanical, negative feedback data guiding you exactly to where you need to be.
That's a beautiful way to frame it.
Imagine the incredible freedom of just adjusting the steering wheel after hitting the rumble strip without carrying any of the guilt or the shame.
I couldn't agree more. It is time to stop letting your unconscious be driven by outdated data and the emotional weight of past errors. You have the ability to confidently grab the control knob of your conscious thinking today.
You really do.
Remember, your rational mind is the master switch. It is time to use it.
Your mind is a highly capable machine, an incredible servo mechanism, just waiting for your explicit rational directions. Don't leave it on autopilot with bad coordinates. Take the wheel. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Make sure to like and subscribe to get notified about the next episode. We will see you next time.